Hello, and welcome back to another episode. I was listening to a training a few weeks ago, and the coach said, your greatest perceived weakness is what you need to lean into. It is actually your greatest strength. And I immediately wrote that down because I was like, that is an interesting concept. And I want to sit with that thought a little bit more. And I've thought about it every day since. I think it's been about almost 4 weeks now. Literally every single day I've thought about that. And I hadn't found any clarity around it until I was in bed last night chatting with my husband. Now, for some context, my husband does desert racing, and he went to a race a few weeks ago in Baja, Mexico, like the Baja Peninsula. And while he was there, he decided to vlog the trip on his Instagram stories. It was a 10-day trip, and there was a lot that was going on between like staying in a new town pretty much every day to fixing like broken cars to funny moments like a cactus getting stuck in my brother-in-law's leg. And so anytime my husband would hop on Instagram stories to give an update, he would start off with, all right, guys. And then he would carry on for the update. He'd be like, all right, guys, we just got back from, dot, 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 dot. And he did it with every single update the first few days of the trip without even realizing. It was unintentional that he was doing this. But for those who were watching his Instagram stories, like me and my family and friends, you notice that he started off each story, each update the same way. And the other guys that were on the trip with my husband, they started to tease him about it. So anytime that my husband would have someone else do an update, he'd pass off the camera to someone else to do an update on Instagram stories. They would start off with, all right, guys. And it became this running joke. So for 10 days, he shared about the race, and each update started with, all right, guys. And for some further context, my husband is not a vlogger. He was just doing it to keep people like me and other family members updated while he was away and they were doing this fun race. Last night, I was brushing my teeth and I was sitting, obviously, in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and he was on the bed in our bedroom, and I could hear very faintly that he was listening back on his stories from the trip, because I could hear, all right, guys, over and over and over again. And I was teasing him about it. And he said, you know what we decided to do with that phrase, right? And I was like, I don't know. And so it turns out that him and his buddies, all the other people who went on the trip with him as well, they decided to name their race team All Right Guys. And they have an Instagram handle with that. And my husband is getting his dirt bike wrapped with that name, All Right Guys. And it just made me, like, for whatever reason, in my business brain, it just clicked when I was thinking about that saying, your greatest perceived weakness is what you need to lean into. It is actually your greatest strength. And so when I was listening to him, what started as his weakness, which was saying, all right, guys, at the beginning of each update when he hopped on his Instagram stories, has turned into a whole team and a movement. And now they're trying to grow their Instagram account and get sponsors for their next race. And anyways, it turned into this big thing. His weakness turned into his strength. It was something that people were teasing him for. I was teasing him for it. His buddies were teasing him for it that were on the trip with him. And it was something that he could have easily stopped doing because of what other people thought of him, right? But he decided to lean into it, and it actually turned into his strength, and it turned into a movement. Now, how does this principle apply to you and to your business? We all have those aspects of ourselves that we might consider as our weaknesses. Maybe it's a lack of confidence in public speaking or hopping on Instagram stories and speaking or going live or whatever it is. Maybe it's a tendency to overthink, or maybe it's difficulty in managing time effectively. Whatever it might be, these perceived weaknesses stop us from fully embracing our potential because we see them as things that hold us back instead of things that propel us forward. Think about when you were interviewing for something and the question that came up was, what is one of your weaknesses? I don't know about you, but when I saw those questions, whether it was on a sheet that I was filling out or that I was actually like being interviewed and someone asked me that, I immediately tensed up. I was like, oh no, because I always thought of weaknesses as almost like something of defeat. Like I wasn't good enough. Like I didn't hit that mark. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if we saw these weaknesses not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth and transformation? Just like my husband did with his phrase, all right, guys, you can choose to lean into your weakness and discover the hidden strengths that are within you. Now, I want you to consider this. Perhaps your fear of public speaking stems from a deep empathy and sensitivity to others' reactions. Instead of that fear holding you back, you could use that to connect with your audience on a deeper level, speaking from your heart and really resonating with authenticity. Or maybe your tendency to overthink situations arises from you're like super analytical, right? And capable of dissecting complex problems and finding innovative solutions, right? You're paying attention to the details. So instead of letting that lead to analysis paralysis, you could use it to bring clarity and strategic thinking to any challenge that you face. And I would say that strategic thinking is one of the best skills that you can have as an entrepreneur. So again, it's just like that shift of maybe overthinking is actually your superpower because it allows you to focus on the details and actually use that to bring clarity. And what about your struggles with time management? Perhaps it is just a sign of your creative spirit that thrives on spontaneity and inspiration. And you can embrace that. And by embracing that, there's fluidity with also while also implementing structure and discipline. And you can find a balance between the structure and discipline and also your creativity that allows you to channel that creativity into tangible results. Now, the key is not to deny or suppress our weaknesses, but to acknowledge them and explore how they can actually serve us. And it's about reframing our mindset and embracing the unique qualities that make us who we are. Because when you do, your business won't just thrive. You won't just thrive, but you will actually stand out in your niche and in your industry. So as you reflect on your own journey, I encourage you to identify those areas where you might have perceived weaknesses and consider how you can flip the script. What if your greatest weaknesses are actually your greatest strengths that are just waiting to be unlocked? What if you stopped looking around at others and thinking, oh, I wish that I had XYZ trait or quality, and started leaning into the things that make you who you are? Because I for sure have been there and done that. I looked at other business owners who, woke up at 5 a.m. and I was like, I wish I had the discipline to do that. I'm more of like a 8 to 9 a.m. gal, but truthfully speaking, more of like a 9 to 10 a.m. type of gal. But when I embraced that, it really helped me to design my business in a way that fit my lifestyle and my goals, and also the way that I define success. So it's not about erasing our flaws, but it's about embracing them as integral parts of our story. And who knows, just like how all right guys became a mantra for my husband and his racing team, your weakness could be that catalyst for your transformation and something that really skyrockets you forward instead of being that thing that holds you back. So my message to you is to lean into your weaknesses, don't hide from them, and as you do, they can become your greatest strengths.